Campbell was stunned by his opponent's strength to withstand his mech's attack. Wang Jung took the chance to rush forward while Campbell was still wondering what had happened. He immediately executed a jump slash, bang. When a mech leaps forward ferociously, its armor is placed under severe pressure. In CT, movements can be made easily, but in actual battle, it requires a tremendous amount of strength to do so. Simple movements are, therefore, the way to go, unless you are able to destroy the enemy in a single strike. Bang! Campbell had held the initiative for the whole fight, but that last ferocious strike by Wang Jung caused him to lose his momentum for the first time in the competition. He immediately utilized a skillful kick to the side to restore his balance. Both of the fighters kept attacking each other with no rest in between. Bang! Campbell's mech swung to the left side as he was struck by Wang Jung. Just as he was about to retaliate, an arcing light sliced towards him. Bang! They were exchanging blows with their titanium knives aggressively. Sparks were flying everywhere. After blocking a strong attack, Campbell realized that he could not afford to look down upon his opponent, Wang Jung. But it was too late. A direct attack was about to hit him. Crack! Campbell's Wii mech took a direct hit and staggered backwards a few steps. The last hit caused his mech's energy to decrease by 1/3. Considering how the last round of crazy attacks against Wang Jung had only depleted Wang Jung's mech's energy level by 1/5, he was clearly in a disadvantageous position. Wang Jung did not follow up with an attack but instead stabilized his mech's shoulder and stood there quietly. The last strike by Wang Jung had demonstrated his complete metamorphosis into a mech pilot. Perhaps not many of the people felt it, but to Wang Jung, it was akin to the transformation of a butterfly from a caterpillar. He could do it, he was strong and almighty. On the other hand, Campbell was feeling listless. Holding the titanium knife in his left hand, he was determined not to let it happen again. Campbell's mech's shoulders drooped a little and he activated the engines again to signify the anger he held within him. The audience could feel their hearts clench as they could feel the anger Campbell possessed. Campbell's mech approached Wang Jung thunderously with a totally different state of mind. Campbell was being serious this time round. Campbell's mech treaded forward strategically, consistently weaving in and out and making it difficult to determine his attack pattern. Bang! His titanium knife swung towards Wang Jung with tyrannical force. 3 consecutive strikes were dished out. With just 3 strikes, he was placed in an advantageous position. However, the real battle was yet to begin. Campbell did not stop after 3 strikes. He continued attacking while holding his breath. This time, 4 streaks of light arced towards Wang Jung. 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 slashes, 4 slashes. Campbell was unable to appease his own anger as he continued on with the attacks. This type of strategy would deplete an average soldier's stamina rapidly. But in Campbell's case, he was able to do so because his opponents, more often than not, ran out of stamina before he did. His confidence came from his unrelenting amount of training every day, as well as his self-confidence. Bang bang bang. Another 3 slashes were directed at Wang Jung. Wang Jung's mech was under a high amount of pressure and was about to crumble. Most importantly, although he was able to withstand the attacks, the mech's energy was depleted by half. 8th slash. Bang. Wang Jung's mech soldier suffered a direct blow. Both Wang Jung and Campbell's mecha were left with less than 50% of their energy. It was a battle of attrition. Campbell did not seem to be tired at all. He dished out another slash towards Wang Jung in a straightforward manner. The closest target was the pilot's seat. It could be extremely intimidating to witness the attack up front. This was Campbell's signature 9 lightning strikes. It was unstoppable. No one could withstand it. However, Wang Jung's mech responded quickly and managed to retreat safely. This defensive move required a high level of control by the mech pilot and an ability to work with inertia. But at this distance, would he even be able to dodge? Direct attacks were the most efficient and effective but also the easiest to identify. The distance was perfect, and according to the speed of the attack, this final slash was bound to miss. Was Campbell's signature 9 lightning strikes unstoppable record about to be stopped? No one understood more than Campbell that Wang Jung was about to dodge the attack at this distance. But he was Apollo Military College's representative, Campbell. Campbell's mech palpitated and unimaginably advanced forward for a second round of attacks, breaking through his own physical limit. He had his target locked on, and he did not have to hide his attacks anymore. 10th slash. This was Campbell, an unrelenting champion who was always striving for self-improvement. The 10th slash dazzled the inspectors, as they originally wanted to see Campbell's performance improving. This was exactly what they had wanted. A warrior that possessed immense talent and an unrelenting heart for self-improvement. Bang! The whole stadium was in shock. They were confused that Campbell's inexplicable follow-up slash did not strike the target. Wang Zheng's Wii mech's right hand held onto Campbell's mech's left wrist tightly. At this moment of desperation, how was he able to think of such a defensive tactic? Even if he could, was his body fast enough to respond? Zhang Shan was already drenched in sweat, and he was so nervous that he almost died when he saw Wang Zheng grapple with Campbell. Wang Zheng exerted the mech's full power and wrenched strongly. Campbell, who was already unable to control his mech, was pulled along by Wang Zheng's sheer force. Taking advantage of the force of momentum, Wang Zheng dodged sideways, and Campbell's attack hit empty air. His mech had even lost its balance. The two mech soldiers intertwined, and at this moment, Wang Zheng's backhand gripped knife swung towards him. A silver arc sliced towards Campbell. Bang! The mech's armor activated emergency deceleration as the defensive shield collapsed. Both mechas stopped simultaneously. Everyone held their breaths, trying to digest what had just happened. The hatch for the pilot cockpit opened abruptly and Campbell escaped before the mech's head detached from its body. Sparks flew in all directions. The whole stadium was very quiet. The Wii was a model developed specifically for practice. When the energy shield was completely depleted, it would activate an emergency mechanism that deactivated both dueling mechs. Evidently, even the system did not expect Wang Zheng's final strike. During that final clash, Wang Zheng's backhanded attack was actually 3 slashes executed at a high speed. Wang Zheng's unrelenting wrist and finger strength training had produced this minor technique. In this battle, it was truly a critical move. It was nearly impossible to estimate the amount of damage that it had caused. Wang Zheng from Ares College has emerged as the victor. When the judges announced the result, all of the students in the stadium jumped and cheered joyously. It was a play completely going against normal expectations. Jamal stood up and approached Ji Yute to congratulate him. Congratulations, perhaps Ares College has a chance to witness the rise of an extraordinary warrior. Thank you. Ji Yute finally came to his senses. Not even in his dreams would he had expected this spectacular result for today's competition. Old friend, you are being too petty. Not letting your best soldier fight till the final crucial moment, that isn't good. Adonis laughed. Haha, old friend, Lear will be the future genius. We look forward to the future battles between them. Both of them knew that with Campbell's graduation coming up, the new generation belonged to Ares College and Zeus College. Adonis was feeling regretful. The stage was originally set up for Lear to perform, as no one was a match for him. But due to the lack of opportunity and luck, Wang Zheng took the stage and became the main actor. However, this was good news to Lear. He was too powerful, so strong that he could not find an opponent of the same standard. This was an obstruction to allow him to meet stronger opponents and grow. There would be many future opportunities for the two to fight. Perhaps Wang Zheng could be the one to revive Ares College and bring it back to an era of glory. Wang Zheng had been praised and hailed by countless of people. Today, Wang Zheng was the hero of Ares College. He had made a name for the age-old college and infused new life into it. Amidst the crowd, Masashi faintly smiled at Lear as they exchanged glances with each other. It was a subtle agreement that something interesting was going to happen. Masashi had completed his mission. Lear was definitely almighty and had a perfect character. Never once was he angry at his teammates when they made mistakes. Moreover, another target had been found, Wang Zheng. They were the twin Gemini of Earth. It was created with reference to the solar system. However, who was the real king of the star? Masashi had only one king in his heart, Akerlus Victor. For many years, Ares College had never tasted victory, so there was a huge celebration, and it was livelier than any other celebration in years. Although Wang Zheng was the main actor, Ma Xiao, Masashi, Meng Tian, and Zhang Shan had played important roles as well. This was a team effort. Without them, they could not have achieved today's result. After this battle, Meng Tian was acclaimed to be the goddess of war, a well-deserved title for a beauty. All Wang Zheng wanted was to spend the rest of the time alone with Aina, but it was impossible with his sudden achievements. Wang Zheng was the key person of the event. He was constantly praised and surrounded by people. Away from the crowd, Aina grinned, as she was happy for Wang Zheng. Moreover, she believed that Wang Zheng would become even better and finally realize his dreams. After all, it was inevitable that she would eventually leave his side. Every girl dreamed of being in a relationship with someone she loved. Romance did not have to have an ending, and this was especially true for Aina's case. She mustered up her courage and confidently withheld her own emotions. From a young age she was taught to control her feelings. It was part of her upbringing as the next queen to put her nation's interests first. On the battlefield, Wang Zheng was brave and invincible. Yet now, Wang Zheng was looking around helplessly for Aina. She knew that he was looking for her, but she wanted him to enjoy the taste of victory that he earned. Outside of the school, a seemingly normal, black car appeared out of nowhere. "Your Highness, are you planning to go back so early tonight?" Aina quietly nodded. Sometimes she imagined what it would feel like to be a normal person, doing the things that she liked, being her rebellious self, and enjoying life. Sadly, for a princess, self-indulgence was considered a luxury. Astonished, Meng Tian and Wang Zheng are too fitting as a couple. They are similar to a prince and a princess in fairy tales, and Mei said. It was wise of Principal Gu Tei to organize a banquet. Although he was old, he was not old-fashioned. Aries College's students needed a break to fully enjoy their victory. Yan Xiaoshu curled his lips. In his mind, he was thinking, what a pity, as his boss was already in love with a real princess. What kind of look was that? Aina may be pretty and has good qualities, but what use is it? Not that I am biased, but personally, I feel that she will not stay with Wang Zheng for long. Moreover, she is very mysterious. Speaking of which, where is she now? What Mei said was so right to the point that Xiaoshu was left speechless. No one understood Wang Zheng better than Xiaoshu. Wang Zheng had this stubborn character, and it was the same when it came to his passion for mecha, as well as his friendships. He was too happy and forgot about Aina's status. Was it still possible? There was still a chance. After all, he had read so many romantic fairy tales since he was young. Yet somehow, Xiaoshu felt that he was deceiving himself. See, I knew it, as his brother, you should advise Wang Zheng. Both Meng Tian and Zissou come from very good backgrounds. Even though I am not totally sure about Meng Tian, her household is not like yours or mine. Not to mention Zissou is OMG's little princess. At this age, Wang Zheng should do something to make his dreams a reality. Although he has now proven his capabilities, he is still lacking in standing. What Mei said was the truth. Haha, Mei, can we keep our innocent feelings? Childish. Mei rolled her eyes at Xiaoshu. Well, is the reason you like me because of the fact that I am? Tyrant Su looked hurt. Mei glared at Xiaoshu. So you think you are rich? Calling you a tycoon is a compliment, HMPH. Xiaoshu broke into laughter. I know my Mei is the best. Don't worry, I will definitely become a true tycoon. Mei pointed a delicate finger onto Xiaoshu's forehead. Have some ambition. I want to become a rich young lady. All right, a tycoon it is, Xiaoshu determinedly said. The dance followed after the banquet. The girls were already leaving the stadium to prepare themselves for the latter event, and the students from Zeus and Apollo College were going to arrive shortly after. As the host, as well as the overall champion, Aries College had to showcase its glory and hospitality. Everyone from Aries College was in high spirits and definitely more passionate than usual. It was rumored that someone had even spontaneously thanked Luo Fei, the fatty. This ending would not have been possible without him. Even though Lear was unable to take part in the final battle, everyone had witnessed his capabilities. He had not performed to his fullest potential, and luck was not on his side, but without doubt, his future opponent would inevitably be Wang Zheng. The physics department took center stage and was in the limelight, especially Wang Zheng and Zhang Shan. The two guys who were usually sidelined were suddenly the hottest topic. This was accompanied by Professor Xiao Fei's research results, which further propelled the department into the attention of the masses. It was very likely that the alliance would be pumping more funds into the physics department. Ares College would not only enjoy greater research materials but resources as well, further strengthening the college's reputation and competency. This was truly a call for celebration for Ares College. Gu Tae's social standing and reputation were reinforced. With these two extraordinary results, the media was bound to be full of compliments and praises. There was a clear 180-degree shift from the previous opinions propagated by the media. What would appear on the headlines? Would it only be talk about perseverance and battle tactics? It was bound to be one of those familiar, overused terminologies. Gu Tae was not a man easily moved by praise. It was change that made him happy. Ares College was a nest, and it was his goal to attract a golden phoenix. A person's strength was limited, but one was capable of change. For a student who had entered Ares College, his talent and standards were definitely unquestionable. Jo Mu retained his job after Wang Jung's sudden breakthrough saved the battle. Although Jo Mu's teaching style was not lacking, what he needed was an elite student. Jo Mu felt guilty, as he did not contribute much to the achievements of the night. However, what Gu Tae said remained etched on his mind. If he had not let Wang Jung represent the school, Ares College would not have won. This required the impeccable judgment of a capable instructor, and at times, this ability was of paramount importance. Sounds of awe resonated around the banquet hall. The beautiful ladies had finally made their grand appearance. At the same time, the students of Zeus College and Apollo College entered the hall. It was clear that the black suit would forever be a classic. Despite not winning, Campbell looked regretful rather than disappointed. It was part of a warrior's duty to withstand failure. Lear's entrance enchanted everyone. His sharply tailored suit brought out his handsome features and lean body. An elegant aura surrounded him, making him stand out from the crowd. Every small action reflected composure and graciousness. He had even caught the attention of numerous female students of Ares College. I've got to say, that guy is really handsome despite his coldness. That's what makes him cool. Quite a few ladies were already lining up for a chance to dance with him. Yu Jing appeared in a white gown. Exquisite diamond earrings hung from her earlobes, and a pink diamond globe hung on her chest. Much attention and time was also paid to her hair. She must have prepared for this moment for a long time. Ares College was her territory, and it was now her time to shine. Yu Jing lightly linked arms with Lear and leaned her mouth towards his ear. Lear frowned. To deal with girls is to make her jealous. Only by doing that will she see your charm. Lear turned around and headed for another direction. It seemed like Meng Tian was still not there. Their families were well connected with each other, and they were arranged to be wed in the future. Although Lear felt that such a fact was normal, Meng Tian clearly felt the opposite way. She had her own dreams and life plans. Lear and Yu Jing were, without a doubt, the trophy couple, and they had all the attention. Yu Jing looked as proud as a white swan as he swirled around the crowd. Meng Tian must have had been blind to reject such a fine young man. It was an opportunity that she would not miss. To conquer a man was to ignite his desire for her. Campbell had a crowd of fans surrounding him. Although he was defeated, he was still a very honorable soldier who was held in high regards. His realm of experience had not vanished into thin air. Masashi and gang were then welcomed with applause in celebration of their victory. Wang Jung finally found Ana's silhouette amidst the crowd. He suddenly thought of her identity, and for her sake, in a public event, he had to maintain a low profile. Meng Tian and Zissou appeared together. The two beauties immediately attracted the attention of countless admirers. Meng Tian was cold and prideful like a snow lotus. Zissou, on the other hand, was likened to a gentle, slim and elegant water fairy. They both possessed two clearly contrasting styles, their beauty mesmerizing scores of admirers. Wang Jung possessed a variety of skills and was diligent. Unfortunately, dancing was just not his forte. Everyone else appeared to be comfortable with social events, even Zhang Shan, who was usually as rough as a bull. Xiaoshu and Enmei were present too. Enmei looked around. How is our hero without a dance partner? Where is she? Wang Jung laughed. She does not like events like this. Oh, right. Nonetheless, our hero should not be left out. Sorry, I am already with Tyrant Su, so you've got to take care of yourself. And Mei blinked her eyes innocently. Xiaoshu immediately pointed at the two stars who had walked in previously. Boss, Mei is mine. We might be best buddies, but I can't lend you my partner. Choose one of the two ladies over there. Wang Jung laughed bitterly. You are really asking for it. I'm not really interested. You guys can go ahead and enjoy yourselves. He headed towards the balcony alone. Many of his peers were already in romantic relationships, yet Wang Jung preferred his freedom. The college seemed very vibrant with these random social events. Wang Jung only wanted to gather his brothers for a drink and to count the stars in the night sky. This Wang Jung is really stubborn. There's nothing more you can ask of she. She might be beautiful on the outside, but she is way too introverted. How can she not accompany her boyfriend? Wang Jung should just break up with her. And Mei felt infuriated. They had Wang Jung to thank for the celebration, as he was the one who turned the tide and led them to a miraculous victory. As his girlfriend, how could she ditch him at such an important event? She seemed more like a village girl than someone from Aslan. Mei, don't spout nonsense. Everyone has different preferences. I myself am not a fan of social events either. And Mei glared at Xiaoshu. Liar, you spent the entire afternoon preparing for this. You even prepared a new suit especially for this. Even that Milky Way pin, you didn't even think of getting one for Wang Jung. Xiaoshu cried out innocently, what, like I said, you don't understand Wang Jung, he does not care about frivolous things like that. He might even beat me if I interfere too much. As the hero of the night, Wang Jung should indeed have dressed up better for the occasion. How could he not cherish this moment? As roommates, Chen Shu and Ailun were already fishing for targets around the main hall. These four geniuses were truly from a legendary dormitory. Two of them had already created legends for themselves. Everyone was in a great mood and were in their best form. The soft light accompanied by the elaborate decorations and celebratory atmosphere made it a night to remember for the youths. Upon Meng Tian's appearance, Lear immediately ditched Yu Jing. Yu Jing stood awkwardly at her position. Zhisu came to her rescue for the sake of their long friendship. Yu Jing, however, walked past Zhisu and completely disregarded her presence. She hated Wang Jung and everyone around him, even if it was her old friend. Lear, what's going on between us is only because of our family's well wishes. I believe you are not one to pay attention to tradition, Meng Tian said bluntly. Lear broke into a faint smile. Not that I mind, but you are one of the most genuine girls I know. Why do you not consider me as a partner? Are there any parts of me that you particularly dislike? Meng Tian was stunned by Lear's response. Frankly speaking, Lear was flawless. Without doubt, he was an ambitious and far-sighted young man, and he was a gentleman. He was clear about his future prospects with all his life plans laid out. He definitely had a bright future in front of him. He was bound to be a successful man. Meng Tian had never really thought about this issue. After giving it a second thought, she was still unable to determine what was so irritating about him. When Lear saw Meng Tian's hesitation, his laughter became brighter. The laughter originated from his honesty and confidence. Although Yu Jing was very pretty, her beauty did not pique Lear's love interest at all. Not only was Meng Tian pretty, she had an aura that attracted him spiritually. It was the kind of aura that could only be emitted by innocent and earnest people. We are of similar status, so why don't we try dating instead of wasting the prime time of our lives? It was obviously a serious idea, but Lear spoke in a calm tone. Even if it was a casual date, he was very serious and careful about choosing his partner. He would rather be single than to date someone he did not like. He was being a perfectionist about it. Meng Tian shook her head. You are looking for a perfect robot. Perhaps that explains why I dislike you. We are imperfect as human beings. Moreover, I already have a target. Lear was in shock. You're kidding me, right? That is not the Meng Tian I know. I think you can see the situation quite clearly. You don't have to resort to this to distance ourselves from each other. This is not in your character. If you really understand me, then you should know that I am not lying and that I disdain liars. This is impossible. In such a place, no one deserves to be with you. Not even Masashi, he is Victor's subordinate. Lear was in disbelief. It doesn't matter who it is. Most importantly, that person is not you. Have fun in Beijing, my friend. Meng Tian smiled. She, like Lear, rarely smiled, so it was especially enchanting when either of them smiled. At this point, he believed that Meng Tian was not lying. Clearly Meng Tian fancied someone who was stronger than she was. But in this barren land, was it even possible to find someone stronger than her? Definitely no one. Lear believed that Meng Tian would like a person who excelled in all aspects, be it appearance, emotions, or skills. But the Asia region was one of the weaker regions and hence no one in Asia could match Meng Tian. Yi Zisu pardoned herself from numerous acquaintances and finally found Wang Zheng. What is our hero doing alone here? Yi Zisu took 2 champagne bottles from a waiter's hand. Wang Zheng stopped daydreaming and laughed. I'm not really used to this kind of situation. He took the champagne and took a sip. Thank you, but I still prefer beer to this. If it were anybody else, there would have been a huge commotion about it. How could anyone treat a beautiful lady with such disrespect and uncouthness? Yi Zisu, on the other hand, appreciated his straightforwardness and upfront nature. Actually, I don't really fancy champagne either. I am just pretending to be sophisticated. She could not be here? Yi Zisu was very clear that Aina had to maintain a low profile to lower the risk of exposing her identity and jeopardizing her quiet life. Such was life. In many situations one had to make tough decisions. Comparing Yi Zisu's situation to Aina's, one had to live in a world where she had to live under a secondary identity. She did not belong in Wang Zheng's world. What could possibly become of them? Today's moon is beautiful. As a friend and an old acquaintance, I cannot leave you here alone. Let friendship be your partner tonight. Yi Zisu raised Wang Zheng's arm lightly. Wang Zheng laughed. I don't really know how to dance. Let the others have the dance floor. That is not possible. The party will commence only after the main lead paves the way, Yi Zisu said. Zisu, I should be more suitable to be his dance partner than yours, right? Meng Tian appeared on the neglected balcony, and under the moonlight, she looked especially elegant. With her tall, slender figure coupled with a white dress, she could easily put any other girl to shame. After all, this banquet was a place to showcase her beauty. However, Yi Zisu was not showing any weakness. You should take care of your friend from far away. Lear is a thing of the past. Wang Zheng, do you still remember the last time you promised to help? Now is the time to fulfill that promise, Meng Tian said. Wang Zheng was at a loss. He could not remember what the promise was. All of a sudden, he finally remembered. It was during a training session at the MMA club that he promised Meng Tian this favor. Yes, I remember. So, what now? Since your girlfriend is not here, I need your help to block someone. Meng Tian glanced at the hall. Wang Zheng grazed his nose. He was to be a shield? Are you afraid? Meng Tian asked. Relax, I will explain the situation to your girlfriend. Wang Zheng shook his head and smiled. There is no need to explain. What I promised, I will definitely fulfill. She will understand. Meng Tian was clueless, but Yi Zisu was very clear about it. Yi Zisu did not understand how Wang Zheng was so bold and confident to not offend the little princess. There were 5 people acting sneakily at the corner of the balcony. F***ck. Wang Zheng is my idol. Chen Shu was too envious to say anything else. TCH, why is Zisu and Meng Tian so obsessed with Wang Zheng? Other than fighting, what else is he good at? Is he really so charming? And Mei was disgusted. Kiki, Mei, please avoid Big Boss at all costs. That guy is extremely scary. He conquers both males and females alike. Even I was once deceived by him. The audience looked in disgust as Mei knocked Yan Xiaosu's head. Don't be annoying. That guy isn't Meng Tian's ideal kind of guy. Why is he acting all profound at this young age as though he has a history? It's nothing. Wang Zheng seems to be more lively nowadays, Chen Shu said blankly. Xiao Shu, sometimes it is better to keep quiet than to say the wrong thing. Ching, am I fortunate enough to dance with you? Student Ailun spoke elegantly. This fellow had definitely dressed up for the occasion. It was a huge difference compared to his usual self of wearing long, baggy pants while shouting at the computer screen. Du Qingqing smiled. Of course, and I thought I was going to be lonely tonight. Chen Shu was petrified. He was the only one left without a partner. He should have voiced it out earlier. God. So this is where our hero hid, enjoying the women by himself. Campbell smiled as he approached them with a wineglass with a nonchalant demeanor. Congratulations, Wang Jung. Thank you for your guidance, senior. Wang Jung laughed and raised his wineglass and gave him a toast. Never did I expect to meet two skillful soldiers right before my graduation. You guys are the future of the Earth Federation, Campbell said. The other skillful soldier ought to be Lear. Senior, are you going to join the Solar System Federal Army? Campbell smiled and nodded. Originally, I planned to end the competition with a victory, but I ended up losing to you. However, it was not so bad, as the defeat gave me a wake-up call. It has to be said that it was pretty admirable for the three to stay so humble about their achievements and yet so accepting of their failures. I was just lucky to have won the competition. Senior Campbell, do you have any suggestions for improvement? Wang Jung asked. Although Wang Jung won the competition, it did not mean that he was strong. Wang Jung knew that Campbell was not any weaker than him in terms of any of the other aspects. Based on Lear's and your performance, both of you should be able to enter the solar system's competition. There is hope for the Earth Federation to win the competition, as both of you are stronger than me. Wang Jung was bewildered. Campbell didn't explain. There is always someone stronger than you out there in the world. Masasi, who was a subordinate to Victor, used less than 50% of his strength in this competition. Sooner or later, you will run into him. Victor, do you mean? Meng Tian was stunned for a moment. Haha, you are right. He is the Holy Knight Victor. He is a perfect soldier, and he is currently in his second year. He is the most fearsome soldier I have ever met. Wang Jung smiled. Senior, life is more interesting when there are challenges. For a moment, Campbell was stunned, but he forced a smile. He used to be like that, one who liked challenges. It was ordinary for people to seek challenges, hence there was no need to dwell on this issue. The fastest route to maturity was to constantly challenge oneself. But Campbell was surprised that the confident man standing in front of him had managed to reach such a height. In the near future, Lieutenant General Campbell wrote about how he remembered the first time he had met Wang Jung. He thought that what he saw in his eyes was the shadow of a confident, frivolous youth. But over the years, time told him otherwise. Let's welcome our hero from the physics department, student Wang Jung. As the MC, Zhang Shan shouted at the top of his voice in the hall while waving his arms excitedly, passionately inviting him onto the stage. Wang Jung's performance managed to salvage even his mistakes. Even till now, he could not believe that they had won. Yet the truth was that they did it. Meng Tian and Yi Zisu smiled and exchanged glances, neither making any concession to one another as they walked in. Wang Jung had a choice to select who he wanted to be with, and neither of them wanted to retreat. Tyrant Su, why are you fidgeting? And Mei frowned. F***ck, I am worried about boss, as it's his first time in this situation. Is he nervous? Most importantly, he doesn't even know how to dance. Irritated, Yan Xiaoshu replied. Wang Jung had to be the one to commence the dance. Any other excuses would be deemed as cowardly. The two of them were nobodies in middle school, but when they reached college, Wang Jung improved so quickly that Tyrant Su did not have a chance to adapt to the situation and make use of the opportunities. Our hero, please say a few words. Zhang Shan handed the mic over to Wang Jung. The ballroom quietened down as everyone gazed upon Wang Jung. It was a completely different pressure that he had to face. Some people enjoyed fighting, while others enjoyed being the center of attention. Yet not many people enjoyed both, especially in the beginning. Wang Jung did not seem to be nervous, but Yan Xiaoshu was extremely nervous. He was extraordinarily mute in a situation where he would normally be spouting rubbish. Speaking of which, the last time Yan Xiaoshu was this nervous was when they had a class meeting to talk about their dreams and he was on the verge of stammering. On the other hand, Wang Jung was not nervous but seemingly had nothing much to say. He was prepared to speak a few sentences before giving way to the next speaker, but at the corner of the ballroom, he suddenly noticed a familiar figure. Although she was very far away, her appearance lit up Wang Jung's life. To Wang Jung's surprise, she came. They gazed at each other across the ballroom. Although it was a rare occurrence for them to meet, meeting again felt like a dream. I don't know what the future entails. I even believe that I might be dreaming right now. However, at this moment I want to thank you for brightening up my world, and I will always remember you, my princess. Wang Zheng's voice was magnetic as he spoke. To him, this was the first time in his life that he had spoken his heartfelt words. After escaping the cube, Wang Zheng had always felt that he did not know the danger and mysteries of life. He wasn't as strong as he appeared to be, and perhaps he was still lost between reality and his dreams. Yet Aina appeared and saved him. The audience was dumbfounded. They thought that Wang Zheng was about to give his victory speech or to praise other things. No one would have thought it would be a confession. No one would have guessed that Wang Zheng was such a romantic person. Everyone turned their heads following Wang Zheng's gaze. Everyone was blown away by the girl they saw standing by the door. How could there be such a beautiful and elegant girl in this world? Although one could see the moon from the door, the moon was exceptionally round today, and the stars were sparkling. However, these were nothing in comparison to the beauty of the lady. Aina smiled as they approached each other. Haha, let us welcome the prince and the princess of tonight's party to lead us for the first dance. Music please. Damn, this boy may look nerdy, but he really has his ways to get into a girl's pants, Zhang Shan roared. Wang Zheng did not know how to dance. However, Aina was a professional, and all Wang Zheng needed to do was to follow her feet's movements. Wang Zheng could do this easily, and they followed the rhythm as they danced along. Pong! Yu Jing's cup fell off the table. This cannot be possible. Definitely not. Although she did not recognize her from the start, under this kind of scenario and situation, especially that line when the word princess was mentioned, Yu Jing suddenly remembered everything. But how could it possibly be her? They belonged to different worlds. Their fates should have run parallel to each other. They should have never met again. Was this a coincidence? Or an accident? Was this the work of God? Yu Jing stumbled and fell backwards onto her chair. Wasn't that the guy who was isolated in school? She remembered the time where she clearly said that typical guys like him could be found anywhere and there was absolutely nothing special about him. Damn, I thought you said Wang Zheng didn't know how to dance. Yao Ailun smirked. He is a professional. Tyrant Su, this kid is clearly talented. Did you guys just scheme to trick me or something? And Mei gave Yan Xiaoshu a stern stare. Yan raised his hands in a hurry. Oh no, my dear, I definitely don't know him. We are just acquaintances. I am not very familiar with him. Tyrant Su instantly tried to draw clear lines between Wang Zheng and himself. Everyone slowly made their entrance onto the dance floor. The couple was still in the middle of the dance floor, oblivious to anyone around them. Meng Tian took a glance at Yi Zisu. As a matter of fact, both she and Lear had strong personalities, and they did not give up easily. However, Meng Tian knew that Yi Zisu did not have this kind of personality. Compared to someone who grew up in a military family, Yi Zisu did not seem to be able to handle such a tragedy. However, Yi Zisu seemed as calm as water. Although she seemed a little sad, it wasn't due to the Wang Zheng dancing with Aina. Do you know something? Meng Tian asked. Yi Zisu felt briefly stunned for a moment before she realized that Meng Tian possessed an analytical stare. She smiled and replied, "Don't you think this scene is very beautiful?" Meng Tian nodded. Yi Zisu, exactly. That's why I feel that this is a bit unrealistic. Meng Tian had always been confident. No matter who she faced, she had the advantage over them. Although Yi Zisu was an outstanding girl, Meng Tian was still better in several other aspects. However, it was different for the girl in the middle of the dance floor. She seemed to be able to attract everyone's attention naturally. This was her innate talent. Meng Tian had come across a lot of people that were full of poise and standing, but none of them could have matched this girl. At that tender age of hers, it was unbelievable. This was something that she genuinely possessed. Meng Tian would definitely not give way were it any other person. She was not this sort of person. However, for this girl right in front of her, it seemed to be committing a crime to spoil such a pleasant atmosphere. We live to enjoy ourselves, Mei Mei, let's go up and dance. Yan Xiaoshu suddenly realized that he was thinking too much. So long as Wang Zheng was happy, why not leave him be? He was an abnormal person, and this was an abnormal event, but everything worked out. As the crowd partied on, Wang Zheng held Aina's hands as they ran out of the lobby. After escaping the chaotic dance floor, they finally had the world to themselves. Wang Jung had fallen head over heels for Aina. Aina's heart palpitated as a faint, red mark slowly appeared on her smooth, white neck. So, will the prince kiss the princess at this moment? Aina seemed to be extraordinarily beautiful and extraordinarily gallant tonight. Yu Jing had been searching for opportunities to talk to Wang Jung. Finally, an opportunity arose when Aina left for a brief moment. She immediately struck up a conversation with him. Hey, I didn't expect you changed so much after starting college. You truly are a handsome fellow. Congratulations. Yu Jing put on her most attractive smile. She knew that guys were greedy creatures. Prior to her arrival, she had chosen a low-cut dress to display her assets. This was not something that any boy could handle. Under the streetlight, her breasts were at the rim of escaping from her dress. She was definitely experienced in what she was doing. Thank you. Wang Jung replied politely and calmly. He had no common ground with Yu Jing, and she was the type he would rather stay away from, so he kept things short. Ares College has deteriorated, as you know. You should consider joining Zeus College instead. You will be able to get the best incentives and benefits there. Moreover, I could have a buddy to spend time with. Never did I expect you to be so outstanding. Yu Jing's demeanor and outfit truly brought out the feminine side of her. She looked irresistible and charming. Wang Jung smiled. I think Ares College suits me the most. My partner is here as well. I beg your pardon. As Yu Jing saw Aina approaching, she suddenly tilted her body and pretended to lean forward towards Wang Jung. There were many ways to deal with girls. She was trying to create miscommunication between the couple. Wang Jung reacted quickly and turned his body. As a result, Yu Jing missed her shot and leaned into empty air. As a result, she fell into the celebratory cake. With an embarrassed look on her face, she picked herself up. Her entire body was stained with cake from head to toe. Who said that people would save pretty girls? Wang Jung and Aina giggled and left. Wang Jung was extremely aware of Yu Jing from the beginning. She was never up to something good. Under the moonlight, a pair of shadowy figures snuck into the boys' dormitory. Everyone was out partying at this time, so there was no one around, not even the management officials. This was a first for Aina. Ever since she came to Earth, she did things that she could never have imagined before. And now she was in the male dormitory in the middle of the night. Wang Jung slammed the door behind him as he caressed Aina's face. They were so close together that they could feel each other's breathing. Aina's lips opened slowly. What else could be more tempting than this? It was said that the moonlight was able to stimulate one's hormones. Both of them were in love, and neither could restrain themselves. Wang Jung took another step forward, and as he caressed Aina's skin, this feeling was like the world to him. Her dress was finally unbuttoned. Wang Jung was amazed by everything that was in front of him. He knew that beauty existed on this planet, yet her beauty was just otherworldly. It was so perfect that he was out of breath. Aina closed her eyes and bit her lips. She was ready for everything that was about to come. Wang Jung slowly hugged Aina tightly. Suddenly, an electric wave shocked Wang Jung and he fell off. Aina's wristband had sent out a strong electric current. Despite Wang Jung being physically strong, he was still caught off guard. Aina hurried over and helped Wang Jung to stand up. Are you all right? She asked cheekily. I forgot about it, sorry. The defense system was very well built. The current was enough to shock one person unconscious. Fortunately, Wang Jung was physically strong, so it was just a mild shock for him. I think God was jealous, and that was his punishment, Wang Jung laughed. Seeing that Wang Jung was able to crack jokes, his condition was all right. Aina continued, so, shall we continue? Wang Jung was alarmed by the response, but he quickly agreed to it. He hugged and carried Aina onto the bed. Gradually, even the brave Aina was slowly subdued by him. Give me an unforgettable night. Aina closed her eyes slowly. Wang Jung slowly kissed her eyebrows. He was alert after the electrocution just now. He was clear about what all this meant to Aina and the burdens she had to carry. Perhaps this was something that even she could not imagine. As Wang Jung slowly and gently caressed her beautiful skin, he made up his mind to leave a love bite on her. Every so often, from between Aina's lips, a moan would leak out as her body trembled slightly. It was both a pleasurable and nervous experience. As Wang Jung was in the process of completing this monumental project, his passion gradually subsided. It must have been that damned bonehead. The training was too thoroughly ingrained into him. Wang Jung continued hugging Aina. Aina slowly opened her eyes. What happened? Silly girl, Wang Jung caressed her face as he said, you should be a little more selfish. What about you? Aina asked. She believed that Wang Jung was the only person in the world who could possibly reject her. I have already left my mark on you. You will always be mine, Wang Jung spoke softly. Wang Jung felt like he was on cloud 9 on this warm night. He felt as though he was ascending through the clouds in joy. Aina then fell asleep. Her posture was still elegant even then. Wang Jung couldn't fall asleep. He couldn't stop thinking about the possibilities. With his abilities, it was still possible to become a prince. He should give Aina a good future and not let her handle any stress and pressure. Wang Jung slowly fell asleep. There were no dreams. Even the evil bonehead did not bring him any nightmares. Pong. I can't open the door. Xiao Shu, did you get the wrong key? That can't be right. We're at 007. Are you drunk? Chen Shu swiped the card again. The both of them had drank so much that they couldn't stand straight. Wang Jung opened his eyes. He felt that his arm was sore. Aina was awake too. They looked at each other and suddenly, they were shocked awake. This was not good. This time, they would definitely get a heavy punishment. Brother Sean, glad that you came. The door is broken and we can't open it no matter how many times we try. Is it locked from the inside? Zhang Shan was sober. I don't think so, there isn't anyone inside. Stay clear, let me kick it open, Zhang said as he rolled up his sleeves. Yao Ailun shook his head as he replied, now I seriously doubt that you are a physics major. We can go and find the management and this will all be resolved. Where can I find a toilet at this hour? I need to go to the washroom fast, it's urgent. Zhang Shan gave Ailun a stern look. The dormitory suddenly became chaotic. The dress from yesterday was definitely not in a wearable condition. Wang Jung rummaged through his own set of sportswear to pick one for Aina. Oh, shut up. How long has it been since I fell asleep? Wang Jung yelled at the top of his voice. Faster. I can't hold it in any longer. Coming. Stop shouting. Let me put some clothes on properly. Wang Jung opened the door. Zhang Shan rushed into the washroom. Chen Shu and Yao Ailun helped each other as they fell onto their bed. I'm never gonna drink so much again. The world is spinning. Chen Shu shook his head. Ailun, could you shift there a little, you're sitting on me. Wang Jung blocked the two's sight and Aina snuck out of the dormitory, after which they gave each other a V-hand sign. After closing the door, Wang Jung walked Aina out. As they left the male dormitory, Aina's face was blushing. It was definitely because of the alcohol, she would not be so daring otherwise. Although nothing happened between the two of them, their feelings for each other had developed further. What was more important was that Aina was confident that Wang Jung was the man she was waiting for. They didn't say anything to each other. Aina then gave Wang Jung a morning kiss. As Aina left, Wang Jung smiled to himself. Now he wouldn't be able to fall asleep anymore. Time for some exercise, he thought to himself. I can't live my life sluggishly anymore. It was 6 a.m. when Wang Jung finished his run. He could continue with his morning training after taking a bath. As he opened the dormitory door, Wang Jung got a shock. There were 3 men standing behind the door waiting for him. Zhang Shan got hold of him first and ordered him to sit down. In the middle of the room was a small stool. Yao Ailun was clearly sober now. He pushed his spectacles upwards as he spoke. We are all individuals who believe in democracy. If you are honest with us, we will let you off. If you decide not to, we will go the hard way. Do you understand? Are you guys drunk? Say what you've got to say. I need to go for my morning exercise. Wang Jung took a glance at Aina's dress in the cupboard hoping that no one had seen it. Brother Jung, on the contrary, we are very sober, Chen Shu said. Xiao Shu, cut the crap. Let us do our job, Zhang Shan said. Wang Jung, as comrades in the same situation, you ought to share any new developments you have had with the girl. So tell us, what did you do yesterday night? Wang Jung was caught off guard. I slept. In this era, you had to know how to act ignorant. If you didn't, then you truly were ignorant. Ha! You still want to lie to us? There is the smell of perfume in the room. Don't tell me it's yours? It could have been during the dance that some perfume scent got onto me. Wang Jung coughed. So how long do you think this scent will last? And how do you explain this? This pair of delicate earrings, who do they belong to? Yao Ailun showed him some earrings in the form of a water droplets. Damn, Aina must have carelessly dropped this here. Wang Jung went for a closer look. Oh, maybe this was accidentally hooked onto my clothes or something. Damn you, it's so hard to get you to answer. You won't just comfort the rest of us with the truth? Was it Wang Shishi? I don't understand how such a beautiful girl could fall for you. Zhang Shan hugged Wang Jung as he spoke in excitement. Yeah, this Miss Shishi is so mysterious. She doesn't stay on campus, and we don't see her often too, Chen Shu said. And this is not all. You know that earring over there? I just went to check its value. It is a Chanel Milky Way Galaxy limited edition piece. There's are only 3 pieces, all made of Pegasus Hall icy crystals, each selling at $13 million. Yao Ailun was a mini encyclopedia. Indeed, he was truly the all-knowing godly Ailun. Zhang Shan and Chen Shu were alarmed. This small trinket is so valuable? Nothing you guys would know about. Even if you had the money, you couldn't buy this. Yao Ailun rolled his eyes at them. Wang Jung fumbled with the earring in his hands. How could this small trinket be worth so much? Maybe it could just be a replica. You guys are just making a mountain out of a molehill. Wang Jung, please blow into this pair of earrings, Yao Ailun said. Give it a strong blow. Wang Jung was curious too. He blew gently into the earrings, and to his surprise, a rainbow formed around them. FK, man, this is the real deal. There were rumors saying that when the earrings get in contact with water vapor, a rainbow will form. This is real icy crystal diamond. Even Yao Ailun was in shock. Brother, you are my idol, did you guys? The 3 of them looked at Wang Jung. Wang Jung felt that if he stayed, he would be interrogated forever. He grabbed his bag and said, I'm leaving first. You guys can continue. Don't think too much, and nothing happened. Hey, this isn't right. This is not scientific. Why haven't I turned 18? A weird groaning sound could be heard from dormitory 007. It was like a wolf which had yet to fulfill its desires. Wang Jung got to the gym of the MMA club only to realize that someone was one step ahead of him. Meng Tian was already training, executing continuous kicks against a block. She stopped and wiped her sweat off as she saw Wang Jung walking in. Don't tell me you stayed up all night, Wang Jung asked. Meng Tian glanced at Wang Jung. I always sleep and wake up at a fixed hour. I think it was you who didn't sleep the whole night, right? Someone was on a date with no time to care about the rest. I'm sorry, I didn't manage to help out with your problem yesterday, coughed Wang Jung. It's all right. You actually helped out. I told Lear that I like you, so that means you won't bother me anymore. Your days will be tougher from now on, I guess. Meng Tian blinked sheepishly. Wang Jung could feel himself drenched in cold sweat. You must be careful. Lear is a very powerful opponent. Until now there has yet to be anyone he can't defeat. Wang Jung smiled. I like to challenge strong opponents, but if he can't win consistently, then isn't it a waste of time for you? Meng Tian was alarmed by what Wang Jung said. How could he? I will be awaiting your triumph. Come, let's train for a while more. Sure. Wang Jung equipped his arm guards. Bonehead always said that professionals were the ones who could withstand beatings. There was something waiting for Aina when she returned to the Shangri-La. It was heavily guarded. The Prime Minister of Aslan, Kashawan, appeared on the screen. Aina, you disobeyed the rules of the outing. Your holiday is over. The surrounding guards lowered their heads. They didn't have a choice either. They needed to report what the princess did truthfully. The facts that she didn't return the previous night and had even removed the antenna were considered to be serious matters. Aina was Aslan's top symbol of royalty. She was perfect and pure, with not a single defect. Aunt, Wei-Yin is arriving soon. Can't I go back together with her? Aina said coquettishly. She had expected this to come but not so soon. Kashawan sighed. Aina, we are at a very special point in the time of our dynasty. You possess immense responsibility. This is a decision by the Royal Council. I have helped you cover up a lot of things. You do know that if this information spreads out, things will get messy, right? I can't cover that up too. Aina was stunned. She nodded in silence. Kashawan, yes, I know now. Princess, Your Highness, you uphold the pride and honor of Aslan. Kashawan, although known as the Iron Lady, was still a lady as well. She understood Aina's situation and was crystal clear about it. A similar event had happened to her as well. Time would eventually heal all wounds, this was the truth. I really wish that I was just born an ordinary person. Aina, being oblivious and giving in are both inappropriate ways to deal with this issue. If you want to decide your own fate, you have to become stronger. Go and rule the empire. Kashawan did not know how well Aina could perform. She would rather point out a clear direction for Aina to pursue instead of allowing Aina to continue being rebellious. However, the truth was that no one had ever done it before. Wang Jung sat quietly in the classroom. Aina did not come today. Aina had once said that when she leaves, she would leave quietly. As he looked out of the windows, everything seemed so bright. Was it truly time to give up? There was no such phrase in Wang Jung's dictionary. Was his only purpose to be a super soldier? Wang Jung used to train to be a super soldier just for the sake of being one, but now he had a new goal in mind. The first few days when Aina wasn't around, all Wang Jung did was attend lessons and training. He needed some time to adapt and think. Yan Xiaoshu seemed to have discovered something. Some things were bound to happen. As a brother, he thought it would be best to let Wang Jung understand the reality of the situation. Things would only get more hurtful as time passed. Yan Xiaoshu accompanied Wang Jung every day. He even attended the physics lecture which Wang Jung was in, although he couldn't understand anything. During Wang Jung's training sessions, he would squat at the side with a towel and water all ready. There were no redundant lines between them. Yan Xiaoshu understood Wang Jung. There wasn't a need to say anything else. Yan Xiaoshu, what have you been doing these few days? Come here, now. And Mei was angry. Him having disappeared for 3 days was something she could not accept. Mei, I have something going on. Please give me some time, Yan Xiaoshu said. The issue about Wang Jung was not to be spread around. He loved to hear rumors, but this was one thing he did not spread. Tyrant Su, how daring of you. It is either you roll over now and give me a proper explanation, or I will break up with you, shouted in Mei. This guy used to be timid. Now he had even dared to challenge her authority. The nerve of him. Stop nagging. Go walk it off. Do whatever you want, Xiaoshu snapped. He turned off his skylink as Wang Jung completed his training. Wang Jung smiled. I am just trying to get over this situation. Why are you quarreling with Mei? You should go and explain the situation to her properly. Damn, women are like clothes, but bros are for life. Yan Xiaoshu slammed his chest. Tyrant Su had always been easygoing, but when things crossed his bottom line, he would be firmer than anyone else. Back in the dorm, and Mei was flabbergasted. She couldn't believe Yan Xiaoshu would actually hang up on her. Only Yi Zisu sensed that something was amiss. Mei, you must have wrongly accused Yan Xiaoshu. He is definitely together with Wang Jung. So what? Why doesn't he tell me anything then? Sometimes as a girl, you cannot be overly attached. Men have their dignity and bottom line too. Yan Xiaoshu's personality is really quite good as is, Yi Zisu said. She was very clear about the friendship between the two of them. It was impossible for Yan Xiaoshu to neglect Wang Jung at this point in time. As they walked out of the training room, Yan Xiaoshu raised his head to the sky. What shall we do tonight? Don't go back and study. The 3 clowns in your room are boring people too. Let's go drink. Wang Jung shook his head. I want to play some CT and to challenge myself. Yan Xiaoshu was stunned for a moment and replied sarcastically, Ah, that's weird. You seem addicted to this recently. You mean that at your level of skill, you enjoy getting destroyed by other players? Wang Jung smiled helplessly. Actually, Yan Xiaoshu patted Wang Jung's back. Sure, no problem. Let me bring you around tonight. Heck, whatever happens, let me show you what I've got. I am Skeleton. You are Skeleton. What skeleton? What are you talking about? What did you say? Yan Xiaoshu's eyeballs almost dropped out as he looked at Wang Jung. Skeleton, Skeleton. You are Skeleton? Tyrant Su leapt up in shock. jumping almost 50 centimeters off the ground. My God, is there anything more surprising than this? As the night went on, the constant snarling sounds of wolves alarmed a pool of mandarin ducks. Ever since Yan Xiaoshu was young, he had always admired Wang Zheng, perhaps due to his excellent schoolwork. This resulted in him believing Wang Zheng could achieve something big, but as time passed, reality sunk in. The genetic test scores had indeed impacted the both of them. Although it was not entirely crippling, it had destroyed the dream they once had. But God was a good director. When Wang Zheng hit the lowest point of his life, Aina appeared. Not only that, during military training and the intense competition, Lady Luck was always in Wang Zheng's favor. Although it seemed to be just a stroke of luck, Yan Xiaoshu was convinced that an inexplicable strength was growing inside of him. But none of it mattered when Wang Zheng's real identity was revealed. It was absolutely shocking. Winning or losing a single game did not have any impact anymore because what mattered the most was the display of his strength. Perhaps this illusion was not really an illusion after all. Wang Zheng was not surprised that Aina had left hurriedly and quietly, and as a matter of fact, he wasn't feeling down in these past couple of days. On the contrary, he was feeling thankful. Because in this relationship, Aina was the one contributing and bearing most of the responsibilities. As a man, to despair and be remorseful was not Wang Zheng's style. Regardless if there was a future or not, he would work hard and not let anyone belittle him, or else it would be an insult to Aina's decision of choosing him as her lover. Yan Xiaoshu stared with his eyes wide open. His eyes had never opened so wide before. Yan Xiaoshu covered his mouth in shock when Skeleton's ID was revealed. Tyrant Su recalled letting Wang Zheng play for the first time. He was there just to fill up the numbers. However, that was when he had signed up with the ID, Skeleton. Although he had thought it was a coincidence, in this world, things were bound to happen behind the facade of a coincidence. Wang Zheng grinned. If you are surprised at such a small matter, how will you be able to handle bigger tasks in the future? Bigger tasks. Yan Xiaoshu was stunned. Sometimes, even though something only has a 1% or less chance of happening, giving your best shot might allow you to achieve 100% of the results. Wang Zheng laughed. He was powerful, and perhaps there was someone out there who was stronger than him, but he was not afraid. Yan Xiaoshu scratched his head. Boss, can we converse in simpler and more straightforward terms? Originally, the battles were just for fun, but now there seems to be a way to earn our capital back. I will let you negotiate with CT regarding future compensation. This is your forte. FK. Why haven't I thought about it? I am so stupid. Yan Xiaoshu smacked his own head. He immediately came up with lots of ideas when money was mentioned. This would definitely bring in huge revenue. As long as Wang Zheng kept winning, they would be rich. It looked as though the situation with Aina had provoked and motivated Wang Zheng. It was just that Yan Xiaoshu had a different train of thought about it. This is only on one condition. Keep it a secret. I do not wish for this to affect my school activities, Wang Zheng said. Yan Xiaoshu raised his arm and pressed his finger to his lips. Relax, boss, your decision is rather brilliant. Being a CT superstar in military school is not necessarily a good thing either. In the military school, there was a large group of people who opposed the idea of these unsavory activities. Of course, they supported the idea on the surface, but as their power got stronger and stronger, their ability to influence the outcome became greater. Skeleton Corp's internal military affairs. The addition of a new member had caused a huge commotion. He was the opponent of the last battle, also known as the King of Darkness, Changsun Duoma. People who knew Changsun Duoma's story gained even more respect for what he had done. No one expected Changsun to join the Corp. Ever since Rainbow had joined, people seemed to have their own unique stories to tell. This made the members of Skeleton Military Corp brim with liveliness and happiness. It was Changsun's first appearance ever since he joined the Skeleton Military Corp. He mainly came because he thought Skeleton would turn up too. However, Skeleton was nowhere to be found. In a matter of minutes, he was surrounded by the members, and an endless amount of praise and worship streamed in. Although he was the loser, Changsun had won numerous amounts of respect from the people. His performance in the battle had reached an extreme level. Not to mention the fact that he was physically impaired, he had amblyopia. Rainbow appeared. He knew what happened to Changsun, Based on his investigation, Changsun was a highly skilled fighter from the Special Forces. In that particular mission, he was responsible for bringing up the rear, but an accident happened. This had left him with an incurable injury. In Rainbow's opinion, it was not impossible to heal the injury, it was just that the cost was too expensive, and the bureaucratic nonsense for medical claims had not been changed since ancient times. However, most importantly, no matter the outcome, Changsun's determination was unflinching, and he continued to persevere. As a soldier, Rainbow was in utter admiration of Changsun's determination. The world was unfair. Complaints and cowardice were signs of weakness. Changsun, tell us more about your battle experience and your feelings about it. Among all of us, you were the closest to victory, Rainbow said. Below, someone talked to Changsun about Rainbow's situation. Changsun grinned. Unlike Changsun, Rainbow was the representative of the new generation. When the battle was over, I spent the whole night thinking. In all honesty, I probably had a few chances to turn the tide of the battle. If I had grabbed onto one of the chances, I would have probably won the battle, Changsun said. People were having discussions below once he finished. In that battle, Changsun indeed tried to suppress Skeleton and maintain dominance in the situation. However, the superiority Skeleton possessed was clear. But in the morning, when my mind was sober, I knew that from the beginning till the end, I had not a single chance. Changsun laughed. Skeleton's military corps had more than 50,000 members. It felt more like a chat group than a clan. It did not matter to Chen Shu because they had no other purpose. Changsun's words silenced everyone. On the battlefield, Changsun controlled the situation very well. Even the best war god #1 pilot could barely withstand his assault. If not for the terrain, he would be finished. Chen Shu then asked a question on behalf of everyone as Changsun laughed and replied, Rainbow, when it comes to this, you should be able to understand. The loss was attributed to the map. Rainbow nodded. I can understand why, but I still can't believe it. I'm sorry, but I went to investigate your profile and found out that in dark environments, CT can bring forth 90% of your true strength. I can't believe that such a person exists. Changsun laughed. I can't believe it myself, that is why I came. Red Cabbage sister, stop trying to be so profound. Say something that all of us can understand, Yao Ailun shouted. Yeah, you don't have to be profound, because we don't understand either. In the end, what happened? Who doesn't exist? Rainbow Riley smiled. It requires strict and rigorous training to be able to adapt to the dark environment. I repeatedly studied the fighting procedures and had some doubts about it. In the beginning, War God #1's movements were not coherent, indicating that Skeleton was not used to such an environment. Even if it was his first time, he adapted to it rather quickly. This shows that he had previously undergone training in this aspect, or perhaps he is just talented. Changsun shook his head. He was definitely well trained. No matter how talented one can be, he or she has to go through some sort of training to bring forth their full potential in darkness. Though blindness, my heart is transparent. In fact, when I was in the dark, I was able to exert 110% of my strength. But a man with good eyes will not achieve the same result I had when facing the darkness. The military corps activity area was full of people. They were all fascinated by the discussion. So what's your conclusion? Chen Shu asked. Rainbow smiled. It is precisely because we can't come up with a conclusion that we are so obsessed with identifying this pilot. He, who is able to fulfill the conditions for fighting impeccably in darkness while being able to fight with the best fighters around the world. It is definitely not going to be boring. On Earth, there are only a handful of them who can compete with me. It is impossible to be any of them, Changsun added. No, it will not be the few fighters that you mentioned earlier on. Surely everyone remembers the interview with Bubbly Foam. His answer was definitely not that of an older person, Yao Ailun abruptly said. Student Ailun was extremely passionate about the details. This kind of deadpan humor seemed to be created by a young kid with an eccentric character. I agree with your opinion. During the battle, I realized that he had a strong foundation and reacted very well in actual combat. However, he lacked combat experience. He seemed to be acting like a new fighter, building one's battle experience, Changsun said. Rainbow clapped his hands. I had this feeling too, and that is the scariest part. It's just that this kind of training is a little extreme. Nevertheless, the war god #1 has a lot of flaws and limitations. Some of the flaws can't be overcome by his other skills. He is putting himself in a desperate position. He may be brave, but it is a difficult position to be in. Chiangson had mixed feelings towards it. That's right, it may be a form of training. But at the same time, it could also be a form of self-reflection. It could possibly be a route to become a god, but it could also be. Yao Ailun said, but until that day, I will continue to wait for you. Me too. Me too. F***ck it, so what if I'm blindly following? I will just believe in you, and this is how it is. Me too. Let young deer go to hell, either live a cowardly life, or fight for all of eternity. The larger the world, the more people feared the world, and their desire for miracles grew larger and larger. Why did the human race desire to take risks in this unknown star filled with death? Despite the risk, the adventurers would still risk everything to explore it, because everyone believed and yearned for miracles. In the brothers' net cafe, Yan Xiaoshu was just watching on, yet he did not say a word and just kept waving his fists. Boss, you ought to look at this. Wang Zheng laughed, you are competent enough. Wang Zheng was not in a rush to find an opponent. In fact, CT had a big capacity to enable various targeted training methods, i.e. shooting, movement, and multiple terrain adaptation. Wang Zheng didn't mind training in CT, but today was just not suitable for fighting. As Bonehead once said, his heart was not at peace. Yan Xiaoshu had joined the chat. He had found something more fun than fighting. He was accompanying the crowd in their fervor. With the emergence of high-end mecha, it would be accompanied with various targeted equipment for the pilots. For example, Wang Zheng had encountered a magnetic storm field in the past, and it had caused him nothing but trouble. However, mecha could now nullify such an attack with special equipment. This was just one of the functions. Not to mention there was also magnetic thunder, and it could harness the potential environmental effects as a weapon. With the addition of these new few features on the high-end mecha, it became more complex to control them. Better coordination and higher skill sets were required. Speaking from a highly skilled pilot's point of view, the novice level was simply rough and brainless, while at the master level, everyone who was competing to become the king required superior knowledge. This included an ability to take control of the situation, to be knowledgeable about all kinds of weapons, and most importantly, tactical coordination. For 1-versus-1 matches, the pilot had to be more knowledgeable in terms of mecha and their different kinds of weapons in order to stay ahead of the opponent. Student Wang Zheng didn't give much thought about it. The last time he encountered the magnetic storm, a strange idea occurred to him. The laser, when fired, if accelerated or run through a force field, would be able to produce a wonderful reaction. Wang Zheng had the sudden desire to train, so he entered a training room, and after selecting the war god #1 mech, he started his training session. The focus required would help him to forget about his problems. Everyone was waiting anxiously as they continued to observe the situation. At this point, Skeleton had entered the training zone. The training zone was made especially for beginners, so it barely provided any value for more experienced players. No way, what is Skeleton doing in the training room? How can he possibly get any benefit out of it? The training room only allows you to better understand mecha and their equipment. There's nothing difficult about that. I have no idea. I really want to know what he's doing in there. Too bad that it's enclosed. Everyone was engrossed in their conversations, except Yan Xiaoshu. Even Xiaoshu was feeling impatient. He removed the physical interface and scratched his head. Wang Zheng was training the accuracy of his attacks. His shooting techniques looked strange. It was as though he was out to make a fool of himself. His mech's movements were very queer. He kept shaking the laser rifle and tried to increase the speed of the movements. Shaking the rifle too much would only lower the accuracy of the shots. Xiaoshu also observed him for a while before shaking his head. He had no idea what Wang Zheng was trying to get at. He, on the other hand, was trying to think of a better method for them to earn their first pot of gold. It was not as straightforward and easy as he had initially thought. At the same time, Wang Zheng's training was looking more and more interesting. The mech Wang Zheng was shooting at possessed a magnetic storm equipment that could disrupt the enemy's accuracy. The inaccuracy of his own shots coupled with the magnetic storm had caused the shots he fired to hit himself, As a result, his war god number 1 had even exploded multiple times. Yan Xiaoshu could no longer stand idly watching Wang Zheng. He felt that he was dreaming. He could easily tackle this level with just the use of one hand. Whereas on the other side, Wang Zheng, who had already caused his own mech to explode countless times, did not even seem concerned. He did not even bother adjusting his shooting posture as he continued to experiment. At this point, Wang Zheng did not notice that the imprint of the Rubik's Cube was emitting a strange, soft light. Loading information, 1%, 10%, preparing, continuing download. The match lasted for quite a while. In the process, Wang Zheng was destroyed countless times. Yan Xiaoshu, on the other hand, had even won multiple games in that time while waiting for him. Ever since Xiaoshu found out that Wang Zheng was skeleton, it was as though he had become a war god himself. His skill had improved immensely. He had even won 3 consecutive victories, a rather rare achievement, and earned praises from his teammates. Meanwhile, Wang Zheng was still fighting the same mech. His training results were tragic. Xiaoshu had no idea what Wang Zheng was doing and was too tired to figure it out. His main intention was to accompany Wang Zheng. Pondering about the issue, the best way for Wang Zheng to end his misery was to start a new romance, and Xiaoshu knew that very well himself. His relationship with Yu Jing was only over after he had gotten together with Mei. He knew it deep down in his heart too, and it stayed with him as a good memory of his first love. Yi Zisu and Meng Tian would make good partners, but due to their individual circumstances, they were difficult to deal with. Alas, it seemed like he really had to rack his brains to find a suitable partner for Wang Zheng. The two guys left the premises late that evening. It was a rare occasion that Skeleton appeared and yet did not fight any battles. His corp was, however, feeling very hyped up. They were making guesses as to what Skeleton was practicing and how long it would take him to master it. Training in CT was not the same as training in actuality. One did not need a lot of time to master techniques in court. The number of people in the Skeleton Corps continued to increase in large numbers. Everyone was in high spirits and were indifferent between winning and losing. Rainbow and Changsun were surrounded by teammates who were eager to learn from their combat experiences. They were indeed highly skilled players and even started a special teaching game to teach many other players. Due to his background and physical disability, Changsun could only play in solo tournaments. He was formidable in dark arenas, as he had a profound understanding of the working mechanics and operations of a mech. While the darkness barely affected and instead actually helped Changsun, the average player would not be able to know what was going on in such an arena and would need an even longer time to get their bearings, even with the help of specialized equipment. Their movements were even more delayed in such an environment and were totally directionless in those scenarios. Thus, they would always lose to Changsun in terms of speed, leaving him victorious. Additionally, Rainbow had outstanding leadership skills on top of his knowledge on mecha, and he was able to make accurate decisions in battle. Ailun and Chen Shu, on the other hand, were in charge of analyzing battles. They complemented each other and worked well together and weren't inferior to even the likes of Young Deer and Bubbly Foam. Wang Zheng did not return to school but made a trip back home instead. His breakup with Aina gave him time to calm down and reflect on his life. Who the heck was the old man? Why did he possess such a profound scientific background? Even his random conjectures and words could result in a revolution. His identity was really quite questionable. Why was he willing to live in such a rundown hut for 10 years? Why did he pass Wang Zheng the Rubik's Cube, and what was the Rubik's Cube all about? Wang Zheng had so many questions that he wanted answers to. What was his fate? What was it with the Rubik's Cube? By the time Wang Zheng reached his door, the doors of the bookstore opposite him had remained closed. A notice was pasted onto the door, signaling that the landlord was looking for new tenants. It seemed like the old man had left and was not planning to ever return. He looked up at the night stars. The stars truly were beautiful. By now, Aina would probably have reached another part of the galaxy. He suddenly felt lost. Wang Zheng made his way back to his room. It was coated with a thin layer of dust. His eyes lit up. There were footprints left amidst the dust. It would have been unnoticeable to the average person, but this did not escape Wang Zheng's eyes. Someone was here before. This shabby place would not attract thieves, unless Wang Jung looked around the room and finally found a slip of paper on the table. To his surprise, he leapt forward and grabbed it, eager to know the information written on it. It was understandable, he was only 16 years old, and he still wanted the concern of his closest kin. Scrawled on the letter was the old merchant's handwriting. Knowledge is wealth. Believe in yourself and set your ambitions and goals far and wide. This house is sold. I didn't expect the price to increase so much. Don't miss me too much, old merchant. Wang Jung blinked his eyes and slowly wiped off the tears. That wretched old man, he had only came back to take his real estate documents. Wang Jung opened the cupboard. Gone, there was nothing left. He had nothing left to his name. There was a new tenant notice on the door, and he only had the house to himself for a few more days. It was truly exasperating. After letting out a howl of regret, Wang Jung collapsed onto his bed. The bookstore was gone. The house was gone. His last form of communication with the old merchant was also gone. What was going to happen from this point onwards? At this moment, the imprint of the Rubik's Cube in his chest started to exude a faint light. He could feel an electric shock coming from the cube. Wang Jung stared at the ceiling blankly. No way, could this actually be the legendary saying of rain trickling down the cracked ceiling coming true? It had not even been 2 years, Bonehead, did he not even know how to count? Wang Jung opened his eyes to stare at Bonehead's familiar face. It looked a little strict. Haha, my dear Bonehead, it's been a while, you have been dearly missed. Bonehead was one that never played by the rules, hence, Wang Jung felt it was safer to have a lower profile. Silence. Wang Jung was starting to sweat. Every time Bonehead was deep in thought, it would mean that there was trouble. The red light emitting through his eye sockets was studying him from top to bottom. Wang Jung was as fearless as before. He did not want to die, because he had barely tasted the sweetness of life. An anomaly has arisen. The existence of the Rand Empire cannot be confirmed. After calculations, there appears to be 13 unknown space dimensions for space travel. Executing Rand Empire's first law, the skeleton robot said meticulously. Wang Jung shrugged helplessly. Everything that you are saying is contradictory. What was the first law again? I hope you are not out to destroy me again. The first law is to rebuild the Rand Empire. You have ascended the throne as the 5th Emperor of Rand, and I will be responsible for searching across the world for your survivors. Looking at Bonehead speak, Wang Jung could not help but find him extremely wearisome. What emperor? What survivors? Were there some issues with the system? Bonehead, come take a seat. Don't pull such a face, we can discuss this issue again. You see, it hasn't even been 2 years, yet you called for me. I have matters outside to settle, so let me go now and I promise I will have the energy to fight in 2 years. Wang Jung was trying to pull out all the stops to prevent this. Your Majesty, reviving this country is the sole purpose of my existence. I will carry out the supervision plan for it. Please, you must cooperate. Otherwise, I might need to use coercive measures, Bonehead said motionlessly. Wang Jung could not afford to go against him. He was just unreasonable. What a difficult position he held as emperor. Speak, what should I do? Wang Jung asked. Your Majesty, we need more information on this dimensional space. You now need to start the second phase of training and adjust the settings according to the characteristics of this space, Bonehead said, with the same tone of seriousness. Bonehead, relax, don't be so hard on yourself. Aren't we reviving the country? We first need to discuss more practical matters. I became seriously ill during the last special training, so I have no more battle energy left. How did that happen? Your Majesty, your battle energy is connected to the energy source of the Rubik's Cube. The implementation of the resurrection plan requires your genes and energy. Hence, it caused a temporary weakness in your battle energy and made you fragile. Wang Jung wanted to reply, but he basically understood what was happening. The Rand Empire was an evolution of a military empire. There were top-notch soldiers throughout the army. It was surprising that they could all somehow coexist together. Something he was sure of was that the shackles that were holding him down the past 2 years were gone. The problem now was that the Rubik's Cube needed more battle energy to complete the resurrection plan. Wang Jung initially wanted to take his time. He had the power to do so, and there were many ways to delay the plan. But he suddenly thought of Aina. Perhaps this might be his only chance. the Rubik's Cube would become his greatest asset in his future battles. Wang Jung was starting to feel crazy and excited for the second phase of the training. The first phase consisted of physical exercise. In Bonehead's words, this was setting the foundations in becoming a war god. It was just the most basic layer of development. However, mankind's greatest strength was their spirit. Simply speaking, it related to the development, usage, practice and refinement of the brain and its functions to the level of a war god. At this stage, the Rubik's Cube could be used as a tool to greatly enhance the energy level of an individual. Phase 2 could only be entered when one had gathered sufficient battle energy. It was like a fairy tale to student Wang: earth, water, fire, wind, space. The 5 elements. This was the second phase of training in the Rubik's Cube's special spacetime dimension. It might be that after some time, young people would become complacent. Wang Jung did show some interest, but he got the hang of things very quickly. Earth, water, fire, wind, space training was split into 2 main layers. The first was superficial training based on all types of environments. The other was something that could be felt but not described. The earth element consisted of all sorts of odd environments. It would definitely look like a pretty decent journey to the eyes of an outsider, but to experience it was a completely different thing. Wang Jung experienced being chewed by monsters, especially giant insects. He understood that the horrors of the first phase of training was nothing compared to this. In fact, phase 1 was heaven compared to this. Water element training mainly focused on honing Wang Jung's understanding of the oceans. Every type of condition out in the seas was honed. From the ability to combat underwater, to understanding water, to becoming part of water, it was to turn it into an enjoyment and not an obstacle. It all led to understanding of water as an element. Fire, on the other hand, referred to volatile environments. It was not suitable for living things, but the ultimate warrior must be able to adapt and harness this ability. Soon enough, Wang Jung forgot about the time. Merely paying full attention was insufficient for such training sessions. Wind was formless. It was everywhere and was affected by everything. It arose from impacting a surface, was affected by movement through time and space. Wang Jung was starting to get addicted to this feeling. He began to enjoy such endless training more and more. It was kind of insane, but it felt really great. The reason being that he had managed to grasp some supernatural powers. He couldn't articulate how it felt, but the powers he used to think did not exist were now developing inside of him. Bonehead silently recorded the whole training session. An image of Wang Jung's brain was shown on screen. The reason he could not make any further progress was the lack of development of his brain. This was a simultaneous process. Brain development had many types. The first was to allow the external environment to provoke growth. Another was to gain enlightenment through training. Each had its pros and cons. The former was too dangerous, and the latter too difficult. The Rand Empire used both. Wang Jung complained at first, but Bonehead turned a deaf ear to him. Space. This was the toughest and highest level. It combined the elements of the universe, combining all powers into one. Understanding the universe from harsh training and finally becoming one with space. In the water world, Wang Jung was taken away by sea monsters once more. While he wouldn't die from it, the pain of being bitten by a sea creature was deeply etched in his mind. Wang Jung fought and screamed initially, struggling to get away. However, after a period of time, he realized it was useless and hence began to analyze what he did wrongly as the monsters chewed on him. Wang Jung was born to be a warrior. Bonehead did not idle even for a moment. He analyzed Wang Jung's physical and mental well-being, planning the next matching phase. The data gained from Wang Jung's performance in the phases were crunched to allow for an all-encompassing analysis to best facilitate the next phase. This was also the power of the Rubik's Cube. With regards to the fighting forces of Wang Jung's world, the Rubik's Cube also took the time to analyze them. However, due to the lack of energy and data, only so much could be done, so Wang Jung would have to study it himself. Because of the difference in dimensions, the warriors from Rand Empire could not appear in this world, but they could produce warriors that were suited for this world. Time passed and the training stopped. Although Phase 2 was incomplete, at least Wang Jung felt that he now had a simple understanding of the 5 elements, but the Rubik's Cube had run out of power. Leaving this time around was different from the last. Wang Jung took his time and left as the skeleton robot bowed. Time. Wang Jung had really lost track of time. Wang Jung found himself lying in the hospital when he opened his eyes. Yan Xiaoshu was right beside him. Noticing Wang Jung's eyes opening, Yan Xiaoshu pounced onto him tearfully, wiping his snot on Wang Jung. "Boss, you're finally awake. I thought you were going to die." "You die? Why am I in the hospital? You've been in a coma for 3 days," and Mei sighed helplessly. To think that Wang Jung was so devoted to her and yet Wang Shishi was so heartless to have really left. "There are plenty of fish in the sea. It's just falling out of love. You're a grown man. It's not worth brooding over someone who doesn't cherish you. Let Big Sis introduce better ones to you." And Mei patted her fully developed bosom in confidence. Wang Jung perspired. Those 3 days felt like 3 long years, but there was no sense of time at all in the Rubik's Cube. The weird, endless training session left him feeling confused. "Boss, the doctor says your mind is still weak and extremely unstable. It was greatly stimulated," said Yan Xiaoshu. The brainwaves shown on the medical devices were fluctuating as a result of Wang Jung's training. This was not easy to explain. Wang Jung forced a smile. "Actually, I was practicing the breathing technique passed down by my family, but I went too far." And Mei and Yan Xiaoshu looked at each other and nodded their heads in understanding. Men tended to have bigger egos and would struggle till the end. "Wang Jung, you're considered pretty decent. Don't worry, you'll find a good one for sure. Ming Tian and Yi Zisu are pretty great. If not for Yan Xiaoshu's objection, I would have asked both of them over." Wang Jung smiled. Yan Xiaoshu knew him well. "It's been hard on you both." The trio did up the discharge papers, and the doctor took the incident to be just another broken heart. Walking on the streets, Wang Jung felt completely different. The world was brighter and clearer, and he seemed to be able to hear the sound of nature if he focused on it. "Boss, as brothers for life, don't say that I haven't taken care of you. Here, take this." Yan Xiaoshu painfully handed something to Wang Jung. "A ticket, Lin Huiyan's concert?" Wang Jung stunned. "Go out and have some fun. Lin Huiyan has arrived in Beijing, and it'll be the first time performing on Earth this weekend." Only then did Wang Jung notice the advertisements for this concert all over the place. On them were pictures of an angel-like girl. Wang Jung smiled and stuffed the ticket back in Yan Xiaoshu's hand. "You two go. I'm not very interested in it." They sent In Mei home first. It was obvious that In Mei and Yan Xiaoshu's relationship was growing increasingly intimate. "Boss, the negotiations with CT concluded. Each appearance in Season 1 will be 1 million, Yan Xiaoshu informed. Wang Jung's jaw dropped. "In Milky Way dollars? Haha, of course. Do you think they would use Earth dollars? Unimaginable, I know, but I still find it to be worth too little," Yan Xiaoshu said proudly. He was an expert at doing business, an ability inherited from his family. Tissue paper was a business too. Wang Jung shrugged. It seemed as though he was not suited to do business, yet this amount of money was great too. "Feeling great today. You go arrange it. But you'd better make a trip to school. Professor Xiao Fei is looking for you." Yan Xiaoshu gleamed. "Boss, Professor Xiao Fei is actually pretty great too. She's quite the mature individual." "Your mom. When did you become such a pervert?" Yan Xiaoshu shrugged. "Gotta enjoy yourself in life, plus, just thinking about it isn't illegal." "Don't tell me you've—" Wang Jung looked at Yan Xiaoshu. Yan Xiaoshu straightened his chest. "Sorry, boss, I'll make a move first. We're true brothers, and I'm a real man now. Well, if you weren't ill, I would never have had this opportunity, thanks." The hospital, damn. This guy had taken advantage of the opportunity indeed. Back in school, Wang Jung headed straight for Xiao Fei's office. Xiao Fei had just returned from a work trip and had interviews lined up one after another. The results of her research had been submitted to the Milky Way Alliance's main courts for assessment, and her theories had passed the test. "I heard you were out of love." Xiao Fei looked up. Wang Jung rubbed his nose. Professor, you don't have to be that straightforward, do you?" "Ha. Falling out of love is part of growing up. Not too bad. You look more handsome than before. I've got something good for you. Lin Huiyan's in Beijing. Aries College is one of the places she'll be visiting, but she doesn't want to make a great deal out of it. She wants it to be kept low profile and would like to have a couple of tour guides. Oh, that's nice. Wang Jung had no clue what this had to do with him. Yeah, problem is, she specifically asked for you. Xiao Fei's eyes widened. She walked up to him and gave him a good look. Tell me, how does she know you? Wang Jung froze. Did Lin Weiyan find out he was skeleton? That's not possible, only Yan Xiaoshu and Aina knew. How did a star like her know his name? Totally bizarre. I don't think you know her either. Maybe it's because your name is on the paper too, and you're now one of our signature students at Aries. No, it's all thanks to your teachings, Professor, Wang Jung laughed. Xiao Fei threw Wang Jung a look. Good boy, you are very sensible. Other than you, Yi Zisu will be there too. You'll both be responsible for hosting Lin Weiyan. Do a good job, I'm her fan. Remember to get me a signed copy of her CD. Wang Jung sweated. So Xiao Fei was actually just like that. Look at your eyes. There's no boundary in art. Xiao Fei straightened herself. Of all the girls Wang Jung knew, Xiao Fei was indeed the most mature. Watching Wang Jung leave, Xiao Fei smiled to herself. This kid was not that useless. Wang Jung headed to Brothers Net Cafe immediately after leaving Xiao Fei's office. He needed a battle to clear his mind. Theoretically speaking, after having spent so much time in the Rubik's Cube, he should have almost felt jet-lagged in the real world, but the actual effect was that of a slightly longer than usual dream. Yet Wang Jung was still feeling disoriented. Even though he understood that Aina's departure was probably not her own choice, he still missed her. It felt as though something important was missing. Despite having been through extraordinary events, deep down, Wang Jung was just an ordinary man. At Brothers Net Cafe, the owner gleefully welcomed Wang Jung. However, he kept looking back, hoping to see Aina here. Launching CT needed some time, leaving some time to warm up in the training room. After another round of special training, Wang Jung felt different when he entered the machine again. In the past, the machine was the machine, and the pilot a pilot. He could pilot the mech effectively, but it felt as though there would be a layer between them. Now it felt as though the mech and him were no longer separated, but an extended part of his body. It was a magical feeling. Wang Jung jumped around, and riding the war god #1 was no different from dancing. The whole CT system was bustling with activity during this downtime. It had been a while since this happened, and Solon had even mumbled Skeleton's name in his dreams. The new plans were great, but there was also the matter of his rate of appearance. Although Skeleton should have appeared at least once a week, the contract simply did not regulate that, and hence Solon could not complain. Solon was just like a general, merely giving directions calmly. The list of challengers in the system was already extremely long. The players appeared but did not go into battle immediately, which intrigued the spectators. What was more baffling was that even more challengers showed up this time compared to before. Moreover, an announcement about the battle was made in advance. The problem lay with the opponents. Wang Jung had almost managed to attain what he wanted in the last round of training. He was just a small step away from mastery, but he just couldn't seem to master the laser technique. He thought that he could manage to do so, but instead he failed time and again. But having been through the training for the 5 elements, Wang Jung now had a completely different understanding of himself and even the world. Laser gun in hand, he swung his arm, shooting it with an exaggerated move. It was not a normal way to shoot, and not even children would do that. Yet Wang Jung found joy in it. In the natural world, a laser was a type of light, and this solidified light was no different from matter. Looking at it from the aspect of air, everything had a form of physical existence. The only reason why others could not see this was because they could not understand its mysteriousness and intricacies. They could not feel it. Student Wang was able to feel everything around him. On the other hand, he was having a great deal of fun training. Solon was busy settling some matters while Young Deer and Bubbly Foam were already ready and preparing to commentate. In Europe, Lear was sitting in an enormous room. A huge screen was in front of him. This is the oddball you were talking about. Yes, sir. After conducting multiple battle analyses, I have found that this man is fairly skilled. If you do not care for his physical quality, he has a well-rounded battle quality and makes for a good practice opponent, the caretaker answered with utmost courtesy. Lear had returned to Europe. Losing in Ares College was just a tiny setback. He had chosen the entire team himself, so instead of punishing that fatty, he studied the problem. The team needed training, but mistakes could not be repeated. That was his rule. The tri-college exchange was just a stepping board for him. Outsiders could only watch it for fun. That was his warm-up match before the first audition among military schools in the solar system. There were only 5 spots for Earth. He was naturally one of them. Do you think this man is more suitable as an opponent compared to the others in the army? Lear trusted the caretaker's judgment more than anything else, as he was the one who discovered all the opponents. There were now more than 10 mecha of different types from the real world piling up in his backyard. Home might not be a suitable name now. Looking from a bird's eye view, the entire mansion was seated in the mountains. There was a takeoff and landing strip for airplanes, which was a whopping 10 hectares large. It looked no different from a military base. Lear's training opponents were usually selected from the army. Skeleton's competition videos were playing on the big screen. Lear did not care much for them at first, but he smiled after watching parts of it. He is pretty interesting. The caretaker smiled. Young master, his standard is considered top-notch on Earth. It's rare that he only uses the war god number 1. That'll help you solidify your fundamentals, which is considerably valuable. Lear nodded. Go ahead, I'll go get ready. Yes, sir. The caretaker left the room. With a wave of his hand, all sorts of equipment started flashing in the other room. A dozen staff were busy working. Over at CT, the matched opponent's name was out, too. ID: Magical Bird. Region: Earth. He was consistently one of the top 10 snipers in the past 6 months. Diamond rank. Most used mech: Shadow Demon. Shadow Monster was one of the best aerial mecha on Earth. It possessed excellent flight abilities and was quick and agile. Its performance on ground was not too bad either, and in the cityscape battles, which Magical Bird was best at, he had held the super record of 20 consecutive wins. He was definitely a strong opponent. Bubbly Foam and Young Deer had appeared on the screen. The opponent is out. Magical Bird. This player seems to be in pretty good form recently. It will be the first time Skeleton deals with a mech that can fly. I am not too sure how he will perform, and I can't wait to see how this battle will progress. Bubbly Foam exclaimed. It was apparent that this beautiful girl had put in a lot of effort into her appearance. She knew that there was a good possibility that Skeleton would look at her. Haha, Skeleton did not show up last time. Seems like he's not doing that great. Let's hope he won't get away again this time, Young Deer said. Bubbly Foam rolled her eyes. Comrade Young Deer, why don't you face reality? I heard you've started a CT training class. Have you had any attendees? Young Deer smiled confidently. Of course, the class is full. I'm pretty good at teaching. I welcome everybody to come and join the Young Deer God training class, especially pretty girls. You'll even get a 30% discount. How many skylinks of pretty girls have you asked? Young Deer shook his head in seriousness. I'm a serious person. Learning is learning. How could I ask for pretty girls' IDs wantonly? In fact, if any pretty girls face technical difficulties, they can get a room and wait for me. Face-to-face coaching would be much better. Bubbly Foam's face turned gray. It was said that Young Deer's narration was becoming more and more colorful. Bubbly Foam had thought it was a rumor at first, but now it seemed to be true. She had heard that when mentally agitated, these individuals took things to the extreme. Do you think Skeleton will be able to win this battle? If I were Magical Bird, I wouldn't think of going at Skeleton directly in a head-on confrontation. Instead, I would opt to destroy the War God number 1's weapons, placing myself in a superior position before toying with him. The War God number 1's weapons system was terrifying, but the Shadow Demon was equipped with even longer distance targeting systems. Shadow Demon flying system's main purpose was not to battle in the air. Rather, it was to use the mech to snipe from a superior position. It could also escape the battlefield faster. Combined with the fact that it was equipped with a pretty outstanding Driss heavy sniper laser cannon, it had horrifying long-distance combat capabilities. There was a benefit to such a heavy sniper cannon. Even if it didn't hit the target directly, as long as the shot landed nearby, the strong laser's magnetic field would destroy the mech's equipment. For instance, the War God No. 1's laser gun would definitely be affected by the area of interference. Moreover, it had been rendered obsolete in the real battlefield for many years now. In order to deal with the new equipment that was constantly being developed, the different mecha had to come up with anti-interference systems. Otherwise, players would be defeated so badly that they wouldn't even be able to remember who their own mothers were. The skeleton core was on fire. The key members, Chen Shu, Yao Ailun, Rainbow, and Changsun, had arrived and taken their positions. Presently, the skeleton core was the most active group in Asia. Rainbow and Changsun knew mecha like the Shadow Demon very well, as they had encountered it in battles before. As of now, although there were no large-scale battles in the Milky Way Alliance, clashes had never ceased since the dawn of humankind. Mecha were the tools of such clashes, however, they were designed and utilized based on terrain. This type of Shadow Demon was commonly used in skirmishes, but could Magical Bird use it to defeat Skeleton? Both of them expressed doubts. Having battled Skeleton, they knew very well the unpredictability of his ability to adapt. The discussion forum, on the other hand, possessed varying views. What was more curious was that half of them supported Skeleton despite the seemingly disadvantageous situation. If it had been any other player, they'd definitely be defeated. War God No. 1 versus Shadow Demon There's no need to even battle to know the result. But right now, many believed that there was a solution to every battle situation. Wang Jung was happily training, while his opponent was already ready. The battle was right about to start, but Magical Bird had suddenly gone offline. Such situations were rare, and the officials hurriedly contacted him. Renowned players like Magical Bird had public contact details. This was a live show, and this was a situation not to be taken lightly. Luckily, Magical Bird came back on after a few minutes. Back in Europe, in the mansion among the Alps, Lear was ready. The caretaker took his leave. The Kronos could achieve anything on Earth. Lear Kronos was the god of the Kronos family. What he wanted to achieve was not to solidify the family's standing. The Kronos family was already the first and foremost family on Earth. Their influence was immense, and they had been this way for 2 centuries. What Lear wanted to achieve was to extend their influence outside of Earth. Humankind originated from Earth, and it had to be someone from Earth to dominate the Milky Way. To achieve this, Lear had gone through inhuman training since childhood, yet he passed every single one of them. It was a feat no other man could achieve. In fact, it was not just Lear. The Moon and Mars also groomed a new generation of successors with the ambition to regain the status of the solar system. It was the most secretive alliance made. The solar system had dominated the Milky Way Federation for centuries in the past, but now, their position was merely symbolic. Not one country had as much pride as those of humankind on Earth. Lear did not think of it as a burden. The training sessions were all easy to him. There were no obstacles in taking in knowledge of all aspects. His genetic score was S-class. For ordinary men, outstanding talent of 1 in 100 was classified under a class. For geniuses that occurred only once in 100 million, they were classified as S-class. Within the A-class, only a few had ability X, but all men who were classified S had ability X. In the last battle at Ares College, Lear was only trying things out. At that level, there was no need to perform exaggeratedly. It was just that nobody had expected Wang Jung to appear and turn the tables. This time round, although things took a little longer, the opponent still made it in time. The caretaker made a Skylink call outside. Hope we'll have a pleasant time working together. On the other end, Magical Bird gaped at his account balance. There was another million credited into it. You're not worried I'd log in here and take advantage of you? Magical Bird could not fathom why these people would spend 2 million just for an opportunity to battle Skeleton. The caretaker smiled. I believe in you. You know the value of 2 million. A life might be too much, but a leg would be just nice. Magical Bird shivered. Haha. Just kidding. We'll have a good time working together. Remember to get in touch with me the next time you've got such a great deal. He hung up quickly. Just who were these people? Although they were unable to fight, people were still waiting to watch the battle go on. Both parties were to choose the terrain. Skeleton never chose anything. Lear could not care for much and set the map choice to be random. The battle map, Resuscitating Island. This was an island that had a long history on Earth. On it, there was a giant sculpture of a human head. It was said to be an extraterrestrial masterpiece and was considered an unsolved mystery a couple of centuries ago. Of course, today, there was no secret to what it is. It was a mark made by the Yatelin's people when they left. Wang Jung once again chose the war god number 1, but this time around, his opponent did the same. This surprised the two commentators. Young Deer and Bubbly Foam looked at each other. That seems like he is overdoing it. Bubbly Foam shrugged her shoulders nonchalantly. After seeing how Skeleton performed, nobody would have thought that anyone else using the war god number 1 could defeat him. Skeleton understood the war god number 1 like the back of his hand. While Magical Bird was a strong player, these high-level players all used the mech they were most acquainted with. Using a different mech would turn a skilled player into a loser in no time. It was fair to say that the choice of mech determined 70% of the games. Faced with such a battle, choosing the war god number 1 was clearly a poor decision for Magical Bird. Amidst disappointment and doubt in the comments, Lear remained unwavering. Resuscitating Island. War god number 1 vs War god number 1. Inside the CT control room, Solon felt helpless. This was not within his control. Many players were very prideful and would not take advantage of such a situation. In this case, however, the game was bound to end uneventfully. On screen, the numbers did not exceed that of the last game. Many audience members would only decide whether or not to pay to watch the livestream after Magical Bird chose his mech. In the end, Magical Bird chose the war god number 1. The two warriors fell from the skies. Lear was familiar with CT and had played before. It was just that it was not challenging and hence he was uninterested. It was also his first time using the war god number 1. However, to him, all of the mecha were more or less the same. Of course, he still made it a point to understand this ancient mech's specifications before the battle started. Oh, Magical Bird has made a move. Let's take a guess. How long will it take Skeleton to end this battle? Bubbly Foam was full of confidence. She was already a member and fan of Team Skeleton. Winning comes first and foremost, excitement was secondary. Young Deer on the other hand, was mad. This imbecile, wait till the battle is over and I'll go over and give him an earful before giving him a slap. On screen, the war god number 1 pulled out his alloy knife and laser gun, waving them amateurishly. The audience burst into chatter. Just, what was Magical Bird up to? But just as Wang Jung silently watched his opponent move, the other party paid close attention to him. This time round, things were starting to get interesting. Magical Bird finished his exercise. At this point, both war gods dashed towards each other, almost at the same time. At this point, everyone had the feeling that no one could fathom how the battle would turn out. Crash! The alloy knives clashed in a flurry of sparks. Boom! Sparks flew. Both war gods made cackling noises. The enormous recoil force made both machines fall back, but the identical engines prevented the fall almost at the same time. There was a slight difference of less than 0.1 seconds, and outsiders could not tell the difference at all. The alloy knives moved almost simultaneously, lighting up the skies. It was Magical Bird. He actually made the first move. Skeleton was quick, too. The two had no energy shields, and yet rushed to strike at each other. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 attacks were executed, but only the reflections of the knives and sparks could be seen from their intense clash. Skeleton's war god number 1 had already launched a kick, but Magical Bird's war god took a step forward, blocking the kick and breaking its impact. At the same time, he threw a fist. The alloy knives struck at each other simultaneously. Bang! 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 The two war gods stumbled and took 3 steps backwards before they were able to steady themselves. There was silence. Young Deer's jaw dropped. He browsed through the information on hand subconsciously. When did Magical Bird become an expert in close-range battles? Isn't he a sniper? What the hell? Back on the battlefield, the two warring mecha did not stop. Skeleton initiated the first move this time. Once the skeleton god struck, the opponent could only defend. Arced slide step. Skeleton's war god changed his position and moved a large distance in the blink of an eye, instinctively slashing with his knife at the same time. But Magical Bird's war god did not dodge. the mech pivoted on the spot and did a backhanded attack. Bang! The arced slide step attack did not take much effort, and the backhanded move used the opponent's own strength and speed to strike itself. Skeleton's war god lost its balance and landed in a disadvantaged position. Magical Bird's war god's engines roared. It kept low and slipped towards Skeleton in its fastest speed, using the shortest distance, and crashed into it. The move was not to hurt, but to disrupt his balance completely. Being completely defenseless, he crashed into Skeleton's war god number 1. Although Wang Jung had high expectations for balance, it was the first time he encountered such an opponent. He was almost on a level on par with him, with a keen eye for detail. Usually at this point, an ordinary opponent would deliver their strongest attacking move, giving Wang Jung an opportunity to make a move. But Magical Bird did not do that. Crash! Skeleton's war god number 1 lost its balance, and the sharp edges on Magical Bird's mech was quickly approaching his cockpit. A furious unrelenting attack was then unleashed, leaving Skeleton without any room to breathe. The body unleashing these moves had to resist the impact and force exerted on it due to the speed of the moves, but the pilot was still managing to attack effectively. This body, to Lear, was just too light and too easy to control. The caretaker stood outside, watching quietly. Perfect, this was exactly what Lear had was. Nobody could beat him, not in real life, and not in court. A perfect body with perfect training, he could achieve the status of a god. The next move was to be the killing blow. Everyone else was shocked. Where the heck did this almighty god come from? How could he fight so well at close combat? The next attack was indeed inescapable. Now that Skeleton had lost his balance, he could only lean away to avoid getting his vitals hurt. But something miraculous happened. Skeleton's war god number 1 was neither defending nor attacking anymore. Instead, with a forced movement, grabbed the alloy knife under his arms. And at the same time, he pulled his opponent downwards as he fell, simultaneously swinging his left fist out. The punch landed right on Magical Bird's mech's head. After taking the punch, Magical Bird pulled his knife out and kicked savagely. He hit Skeleton squarely in the chest. Crash! Both machines fell at the same time. Magical Bird's war god number 1 fell 3 steps back and regained balance. Skeleton's war god number 1 made a turn and pushed himself up with one arm, and stood back up. They had only swapped positions. The spectator stand erupted with cheers. This was a battle of skilled close combat fighters. Young Deer and Bubbly Foam looked at each other. That's definitely not Magical Bird. I've commentated Magical Bird's competitions. He's a sniper and his close-up combat skills are just average. I've seen him being forced into hand combats. It's not even as good as 10% of what is being shown here. Whoa! If this was combined with his skills in long-ranged fights, this would make him the king. Such an opening tussle attracted many players who were watching to join in and spectate it officially. This was a sign that things were about to get interesting. There was no disadvantaged competitor when everything was equal. Instead, this was a path that would lead to one of them becoming a true god. It seemed like Skeleton's performance had finally attracted a real master. Lear smiled too. It was rare to have opponents who adapted to situations so quickly and so well. Solon bit his teeth. Execute Plan B. Yes, sir. The staff were very excited. They immediately executed his commands. Resuscitating Island shook. The skies turned a flaming red, and countless red lights dotted the sky. Fireworks, is this a change in environment? In choosing the battle environments, some environments were unstable and would occasionally see earthquakes and so forth. Some foreign stars, for instance, were worlds of changing environments. But the solar system was mainly made of stable environments. However, the resuscitating island was indeed an environment that would change drastically, just that changes were very rare. Once changes occurred, the difficulty of the battle would be skyrocket. Ordinary players could never cope with it. Lear smirked. Someone was trying to create a hoo-ha out of such a small deal? The earth cracked open and splintered endlessly. Molten dark red lava could be seen erupting out of the cracks. A burning ball of fire came crashing down the skies. It was a burning meteor. If one was directly hit, even if the war god number 1 didn't die, they'd lose their combat abilities. The mood in CT operations room was tense too. It was a special day. Everyone was looking at Solon. Solon's palms broke out in sweat. He wasn't sure what this would bring, too. But it was only a matter of time before it actually happened. Might as well initiate it than be forced into it. Solon nodded. Begin. The audience could all see a new pop-up stimulation system launched. That meant that the same harmful effects the harsh environment brought about could also be felt by the pilots. At the same time, the difficulty of executing a high-leveled move would increase by 50%. This would mean that it would be almost twice as difficult to make any extreme moves. The audience was shocked. Could the game even go on? Ordinarily, the battlefield only had a subtle impact on the mech. Damage on the mech and its effects were minimal to highlight the opponent's operating skills. No matter what, this was not a real battle. But recently, some master players had complained that the games were too easy, lacking a sense of reality and realistic operation. The new system had already been introduced to other stars, but this was the first time they used it in the solar system. And the first time this was used during such an important battle. Solon watched the screens closely. He believed Skeleton would win. There was 1 minute of free combat. The time was for the two players to adapt to their new environment. Wang Jung could feel the earth shaking even more vigorously now. The controls suddenly became a lot harder to use. Lear, on the other end, felt almost nothing. The countless burning meteors had brought the temperatures up, so much so that the internal components were feeling the heat. But no matter how the surroundings shook, the two War God number ones maintained their balance. The staff were nervous. What if Skeleton could not get used to such a battlefield? Solon was extremely excited. The decision was made spontaneously, and the two players could use War God number one so effectively. Definitely not just some nobodies. Nobody had used this in the solar system. It was said that Mars was just getting ready to try it out. Solon was now the first to make the move to this new system. What would happen? Behind their machines, Wang Jung and Lear smiled to themselves. Now, this was the real deal. Free combat mode ended. The mecha roared to life.